Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something absolutely critical, but often overlooked. The National Provider Identifier, or NPI.
That's right. It seems like just a 10-digit number, but for you therapists out there, PTs, OTs, SLPs, it's basically your professional ID in the whole payer system.
It really is. Think of it like your fingerprint for billing. But unlike your actual fingerprint, mistakes with your NPI data can happen easily.
And those small mistakes, they can cause major headaches and, honestly, significant financial losses.
Yeah, it's kind of a silent threat to revenue.
And just to set the stage, look, there's a finding often cited by the American Medical Association. It suggests that credentialing errors are behind up to, get this, 85% of initial claim denials.
85%. Wow, that's huge.
It is. And the NPI is right at the heart of that credentialing process. So often it's not about your clinical work, it's about the paperwork being off.
Which means blocked payments and wasted time.
Right. Exactly. So our goal today in this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We want to walk you through the top 7 NPI filing mistakes we see tripping people up constantly.
These are the ones credentialing specialists point to again and again. They're common, often simple to avoid, but they cause real financial damage if you don't catch them.
Right. So let's dive in. The first area is what you might call an NPI identity crisis. It starts with using the wrong type of NPI.
Okay, types. Explain that.
Sure. There are 2 main types. Every individual provider, you, the therapist seeing patients, needs a type 1 NPI. That number identifies you, the person.
Got it. Type 1 is me, the clinician.
Exactly. Then if you have a practice, a clinic, any kind of organization that bills, that entity needs a type 2 NPI. This identifies the business itself.
The group or the company getting paid.
Precisely. Now the error is mixing these up. We often see the individual therapist's type 1 NPI submitted on claims that should really be under the group's type 2.
Or the other way around, forgetting the individual therapist's number on a group claim.
That happens too. Maybe you list the group NPI, but forget to specify which therapist actually provided the service with their type 1.
So why is that such a big deal for the payer? Can't they figure it out?
Well, they need to know who is billing that's the type 2 and who is clinically responsible for the service that's the type 1. It's about accountability and contract terms.
Okay.
If you submit a claim using only a type 1 NPI, but you're contracted as a group, the payer system flags it.
Right.
Or if you use the type 2 but don't link it to a specific credentialed type 1 provider in their system,
No.
immediate denial. They can't reconcile the claim structure. So, bottom line. Type 1 identifies the treating therapist. Type 2 identifies the billing entity. You often need both listed correctly.
Makes sense. Keep it straight. What's the next pitfall?
This one's about the details within the NPI record. It's the mismatch between what's in the official NPI registry, the NPPE system, and what you put on your enrollment paperwork for payers like Medicare or commercial insurance.
And you mean an exact match, right?
Yeah.
Like really exact.
Absolutely exact, down to the middle initial. Your legal name, your license number, the practice location address, everything has to be identical.
That sounds fussy.
It is, but it's how their automated systems work. Here's a super common scenario. A therapist moves. They update their address with the state license board. Maybe they even update their CAQH profile.
Which is that central database lots of payers use, yeah.
Right, but they forget the final step. Logging into the NPPE system and updating the address associated with their NPI number itself.
Okay, so the NPI registry has the old address, but the Medicare application has the new one. What happens then?
The payer's system sees a conflict. And because it's automated, it doesn't send you a nice email saying, hey, fix line 12. It just kicks the application out, rejects it.
That's lovely.
Often, yeah. Or you might get a vague notice. The real problem is you might not realize why it was rejected for weeks, maybe even months. You think you're enrolled, you start billing.
And nothing comes back, or denials start piling up.
Exactly. And then you're digging through paperwork trying to find this tiny mismatch that derailed the whole process. It's a slow bleed while you figure it out.
What an administrative nightmare. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about how you define what you do. Specialty codes.
That brings us to error number 3. Using the wrong, or sometimes even missing, the taxonomy code on your NPI record.
Taxonomy code.
Yeah.
That tells the payer your specialty, right? Like physical therapist, occupational therapist.
Precisely. There are specific codes for each specialty. For PTs, for example, it's often something like 200 and 200, 100, 000X. The mistake isn't usually leaving it blank, though that happens. More often, it's selecting a code that's too general.
Like just rehabilitation provider instead of the specific PT or OT code.
Exactly. Or maybe even selecting the wrong specific code. Payers use this code to verify that the services you're billing for match your documented specialty and credentials. Their contract with you is based on you being, say, a licensed PT.
So if the code is wrong or too vague,
It confuses them. It raises a flag about whether you're practicing within your scope or if you meet the requirements for the specific services being billed. This can lead to enrollment delays or claim denials because they can't confirm your qualifications match the service.
another verification failure, basically.
Right. Now, sticking with codes and structures, but shifting to the groups, the clinics, the Type 2 NPIs, error number 4 is getting the business structure wrong on the Type 2 application.
Meaning like whether you're an LLC or a corporation or a sole proprietor.
Exactly that. Your Type 2 MKI record has to perfectly reflect your legal business entity type, your official business name, and even ownership details sometimes. The mistake is when there's a discrepancy between what you list there and what your actual legal status is.
But why does the insurance company care so much if I'm XYZ Therapy LLC versus XYZ Therapy Inc.? Seems like a tax thing.
But it's crucial for them because they need to ensure they're paying the correct legal entity. They perform internal cross-checks
Cross-checks with what?
with official records. They'll compare the info on your NPI application, particularly the business name and structure, against your tax ID or EIN in the IRS database. They check state business registrations. And critically, they check the information on your electronic funds transfer, your EFT form, for direct deposit.
Okay, I see. So if my NPI application says I'm an LLC, but the bank account for the EFT is under my old S-Corp name.
Bingo. The system flags it. Mismatch. Everything grinds to a halt. They can't issue payments. The legal entity name, the tax ID, and the bank account information don't all align perfectly with the Type 2 NPI record.
And fixing that isn't quick, I imagine.
Not at all. This kind of mismatch can cause weeks of delays. They'll start requesting documents, maybe your articles of incorporation, an updated W-9 form, a new EFT authorization. It can become a real mess, sometimes needing input from your accountant or lawyer. Huge administrative friction.
Definitely underscores keeping that corporate paperwork spotless. Okay, let's shift to maintenance. Keeping the NPI record clean over time. What's next?
Error 5. Using an inactive NPI, or even worse, having duplicate NPIs out there.
Duplicate NPIs. How does that even happen?
It sounds strange, but it's easier than you think. Maybe a therapist gets married, changes their name, and instead of updating their existing Type 1 NPI, they apply for a brand new one under the new name.
Oh, I could see that happening.
Or a clinic owner sells their practice, they set up a new one, get a new Type 2 NPI, but they never formally deactivate the NPI associated with the old sold business. So now there are two active Type 2 NPIs linked perhaps to the same owner or location history.
So what's the risk if, say, an old inactive NPI accidentally gets used on an application, or if a payer discovers two active NPIs for one person?
It goes beyond just a simple rejection. Having multiple active NPIs or using an inactive one creates massive confusion for payers, but more seriously, it can trigger fraud flags. Yes, payers operate on a strict one identifier per entity principle. If their system sees two NPIs potentially linked to the same provider or tax ID, it can look like an attempt to circumvent rules or duplicate billing. Even if it's an honest mistake, dealing with a fraud investigation or even just a claim hold is incredibly disruptive. It stops all payments.
Wow, okay. So the rule is crystal clear. One active, accurate NPI per individual, one per business entity. Deactivate any old ones properly.
Non-negotiable. And that ties directly into the next error, number 6, failing to update your NPI record promptly after a change, specifically not meeting the 30-day deadline.
The 30-day rule, what changes does that cover?
Basically any demographic change, name change, address change, practice location, correspondence address, changes in taxonomy, contact information. Federal regulations mandate that you update your NPI record via the NPES system within 30 days of the change becoming effective.
And the mistake is, again, updating other systems but forgetting the NPI registry itself?
That's the classic scenario. You update CAQH, you tell Medicare through PICOS, you inform commercial payers, but you forget to log into NPPES and make the change there too.
So if you miss that 30-day window and the NPI registry data becomes outdated compared to what a payer has, what's the consequence?
It creates that data mismatch we talked about earlier, but with a regulatory punch. Payers perform periodic checks, sometimes called revalidation or recredentialing. If their system pulls your NPI record and finds data, say, an address that conflicts with what they have on file, and that change looks older than 30 days.
They assume your information is invalid.
Pretty much. They might see it as a failure to maintain accurate credentialing information. This can stall ongoing enrollments, but worse, it can trigger a mandatory recredentialing request. You get forced back into the whole enrollment process from scratch.
Which can take months.
Exactly. And during that time, your ability to get paid might be suspended. It causes significant administrative churn and, again, lost revenue, all because of a missed update.
Such a simple thing with such big consequences. Okay, let's tackle the final error, and this one seems particularly tricky, involving Medicare.
Yes, error number 7. This one is specific to Medicare billing and trips up a lot of therapy providers. It's skipping the NPI reassignment, often called the crosswalk, during Medicare enrollment.
Okay, let's unpack this carefully. We know the NPI, but Medicare has other identifiers, right? Like the PTAN.
Correct. The PTAN is the Provider Transaction Access Number. Think of the NPI as your public identifier, the one everyone uses. The PTAN is more like Medicare's internal account number for you or your group, tied specifically to billing them.
And you manage Medicare enrollment through their PICO system.
Right. PICOS, the provider enrollment chain and ownership system, is where you submit your application and all your documentation. Then there are the MS, the Medicare Administrative Contractors, who actually process and pay the claims in your region.
Got it. NPI, PTAN, PICOs, MAX. So it's the reassignment or crosswalk part, and where does the error happen?
The error is assuming that once PICOS approves your enrollment application, which includes your NPI, you're all set to bill Medicare and get paid.
That sounds logical. Isn't that the point of enrollment?
It is, but there's a crucial back-end step. The MASH, the entity processing your claims, needs its system to explicitly link your NTI to your assigned PTAN. This linking process is often called NPI reassignment if you're joining a group, or just ensuring the crosswalk is established even for individuals. It's a separate action, often done through the MSC's own portal or specific forms after PICOS approval.
So PICO's approval doesn't automatically tell the MS payment system to connect the NPI and PTAN.
Not always reliably, no. You often have to ensure that connection is actively made. You get your PICOS approval letter, you think you're good to go, you start submitting claims, and they get rejected. The claims won't process. The MSC system essentially says, I see this NPI, but I don't have it linked to a valid PTAN authorized to bill me for these services.
Even though PICO's approved everything.
Even though PICO's approved it. The systems aren't perfectly integrated in real time for this specific link. You get these cryptic rejection codes, and people waste weeks, sometimes months, blaming their billing software or clearinghouse.
When the real problem is just that administrative link wasn't made in the MI system.
Exactly. The NPI wasn't properly crosswalked or reassigned to PTAN for billing purposes. Until that's fixed, zero Medicare revenue flows, even though you're technically enrolled. Then you're stuck correcting it and rebilling potentially months of claims.
That is a subtle but absolutely critical distinction for anyone billing Medicare.
Wow. Okay, so those are the 7 big NPI errors.
And stepping back, it's crucial to understand these aren't just minor clerical slip-ups. They have a massive cumulative impact.
Right. You mentioned earlier that credentialing issues where NPI problems are central drive a huge percentage of denials. But what about the overall financial picture?
Well, consider a finding reported by MedTrainer. They found that over half of medical practices face claim denials linked to credentialing problems. And for some practices, especially larger groups,
Yes.
they estimated losses exceeding $500,000 annually due to these kinds of issues.
$500,000 just from things like NPI mismatches, wrong taxonomy codes, missed updates, that Medicare crosswalk issue.
That's the potential scale, yes. When enrollment is delayed, when claims are systematically denied, when payments are held up for months while you troubleshoot, it adds up incredibly fast. These aren't just line item errors, they fundamentally block revenue.
That really drives home the point. These aren't small administrative details to brush off. They are foundational. They determine if and when you get paid for the essential therapy services you provide.
Absolutely. They delay your ability to even start seeing patients under new contract. They reject perfectly valid claims. They can completely halt your billing capabilities if not managed correctly.
So we started saying the NPI is just a number, but clearly it controls the cash flow. The effort needed to fix these mistakes retroactively is way, way higher than the effort needed to just get it right and keep it right from the start. Without a doubt. Proactive accuracy saves enormous time, money, and frustration down the road.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener. If this single 10-digit number, your NPI, holds this much power over your revenue, your professional standing, your very ability to practice.
Then the question becomes, how much attention should you really be paying to the integrity of all the interconnected data points, licenses, addresses, taxonomies, business structures, those crucial Medicare links that define you in the healthcare system? Maybe it's time to view that administrative infrastructure with the same seriousness and precision you apply to patient care.